ITEXPO Miami 2009.
I'd like to welcome John Frederiksen, who's the general manager of Microsoft. He's in charge of product development, marketing, and business development for the Response Point product. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks. Is my mic live? Now there it's live. Good morning, and welcome to ITEXPO. I want to first start by addressing a rumor that's been going around the show floor that Microsoft's deep investment in ITEXPO East is driven by the fact that it's 38 degrees and rainy in Seattle pretty much the whole month of February. I first want to acknowledge it's not just February. It's pretty much March, April, and May where it's 38 degrees and raining in Seattle. But that is not the reason that we came down to ITEXPO East. A few of us may have come a few days early, may stay a few days late, but that's just adjusting to the time zone. That has nothing to do with staying away from the rain. If you see us glaring at that large ball in the sky outside during breaks, it's just we're trying to refamiliarize ourselves with it. So during the next 30 minutes, I hope to tell you a little bit more about what brings Microsoft to ITEXPO East and really our interest in communications and the breakthroughs we see incoming in communications in the next kind of 3 to 5 year time period and why we're making deep investments there. And also our focus on small businesses and why we think that they will benefit a lot from these innovations and why the ecosystem will benefit a lot by providing those solutions to those customers. So first, let me take a minute and introduce myself because I'm new to this group and new to this industry. I'm a Microsoft veteran. I've been at Microsoft for over 15 years and spent about the first 8 years in product management and the last 7 years in general management. In the product groups, I had experience with Microsoft Exchange Server, Microsoft Windows Server, Microsoft Windows Desktop Operating Systems, and Windows XP. Worked on Microsoft.com for a while, worked in Microsoft Services for a while. I was recently recruited to come run the Response Point team. And there were two things that were really attractive to me about the team. The first is it's part of a group called the Startup Business Acceleration Group that sits between our research group and the product groups to help incubate technologies and businesses that don't currently neatly fit into our mainstream products, but we think have potential to be large businesses for Microsoft and big opportunities for the company overall. The second thing is, I'm not sure if people have heard the history of Response Point, but it has a pretty interesting history in that it actually came out of a Think Week paper that my boss wrote in 2004 that Bill Gates read. And I'm not sure if you're aware of how Microsoft works, but Bill Gates historically had an annual Think Week where any employee could submit an idea that he thought Microsoft should invest in or an opportunity, and he would get hundreds, if not thousands, of papers. And he would go out for a week to his place on Hood Canal and read all of them. Ray Ozzie does that now in his place. He actually distributes it, but in the past, Bill used to read all of them. And my boss, XD, actually wrote a white paper for Bill Gates that talked about the potential to create a software-based IPPBX targeting consumers and small businesses that could create a low-cost solution based upon industry-standard hardware and bring advanced phone technology to small businesses and consumer audiences where he felt like the market was underserved. And Bill Gates liked the idea so much, they originally funded a small development team to work on it, and a little over a year ago allowed a business to launch under the brand of Response Point to pursue that market opportunity. Now, the good news to that is, being a startup business within Microsoft, I think we probably reap some benefits that most startup businesses don't. We have a pretty good cafeteria. We get free soda. We've got great legal support. We got a good channel community to call on if we need help. But being a startup business sponsored by Bill Gates, the expectations are pretty high in terms of the impact we'll have and the potential growth inside the marketplace. So it's both a very fun place to be, very well resourced in terms of the support we get from Microsoft, but also a place where there are very high expectations in terms of how much the product will grow, how much the industry will grow, and how we think things will evolve. So let me go ahead, and the first point I wanted to talk about in the presentation was about what does it mean to innovate in the state of the current economy? And especially given Microsoft's Q2, our fiscal Q2 earnings announcements, what's our commitment to innovation? Why do we think it's so important? I had a meeting yesterday with Frank Stinson from Intellicom, an analyst firm, and he said the most commonly used term at this show will probably be in this economy. So I'd be remiss not to say in this economy, we fundamentally believe that innovation will still create great benefits and that companies will reap rewards from it. And there's a lot written about companies in previous recessions that have continued their R&D investments, how they've reaped rewards not only during the down economic period, but they've really accelerated as the economy's picked back up. And this really struck home for me about a week ago. I'm not sure how many of you track the PC marketplace or the netbook marketplace, but there was an article about a week ago in Wall Street Journal that talked about the fundamental change that's going on in the PC industry. And it basically said, while the PC marketplace in Q4 of 2008 generally dropped year over year, the netbook portion of that marketplace grew by over 20%. And that there's a fundamental transformation going on in the PC marketplace driven by more broadly available standard hardware and software and solutions that a group of vendors are pulling together that allow them to manufacture and be profitable with a $400 or $500 netbook. And what's significant to me about this is I worked on Windows XP marketing in 2001. And at the time, there was a lot of work done to produce a device that would meet the one computer per student goal that a lot of states had. And there was just no way working with our partners that we could pull together a sub-$500 notebook that was high quality, capable of running the software, capable of giving a customer a good experience in 2001. Now here we are exiting 2008, starting 2009, and that's becoming one of the major growth opportunities in the market. And companies that are making those are not only picking up share like mad, but they're being profitable doing it. And I fundamentally believe that we're going to see the same type of opportunity exist in IPPBXs sold to small businesses. That we're going to see the evolution of hardware and software create an opportunity where people can make money and sell systems to customers that haven't bought systems before, and actually do it in a very profitable way and see a lot of market growth even during the period of the economic downturn. So it's one of the reasons that we continue to invest in our response point product, one of the reasons we invest in communications overall. So let me talk a little bit more about the economy. And I think the panel that was here before hit most of these points already, but I want to talk about what we're seeing a little bit closer to home and local. As we work on our product, we do a lot of customer research, and we actually have an ongoing process where we go out and meet with local small business customers pretty much on a weekly basis to hear about how they use their communication systems, what they like, what they don't like, and what would drive them to purchase right now. And certainly there are trends like as they move and as they change buildings, they oftentimes looking at new phone systems. As they kind of start switching to voice over IP, they start looking at phone systems. But the fundamental drivers of gaining efficiency, reducing their cost, increasing their productivity are some of the core drivers. But there's another point that I heard recently that I really liked and it stuck with me. We're meeting with a customer that was a small customer that does closet designs. And they basically said, I need my phone system to be a pencil. I don't want a pen. I don't want a multi-function pencil or mechanical pencil. I want a pencil that just works. Reliability has to be there. And it's fundamental that even if you can save me money, even if you can increase the productivity of my employees, if I don't have a confidence in this system working out of the box and working when I need it, if I think I'm going to lose calls from my customers, then I probably won't adopt the product. And that's really been a core design goal for us and what we've been trying to do in Response Point. And I think it's probably a core design goal for a lot of you that are selling solutions to customers today. And I would fundamentally state, and I think we touched on in the panel before, that we're getting to the point with voice over AP and with this next wave of communication systems that we can start delivering on that promise and really feeling comfortable that small business customers can try to get those types of benefits. So let me talk a little bit about Microsoft's investment in communications overall. This is a quote from Bill Gates a little over a year ago when Microsoft launched Office Communication Server. And he really talked about the power of software to transform communications. And it's a fundamental belief at Microsoft that one of the next big waves of productivity enhancements will come through communications. And I think we're seeing a lot of that today with mobile communications. But what really stands out for me as I go out and meet with small business customers and medium-sized business customers is how few of those customers are really reaping those main benefits, and how many legacy phone systems are still out there, and how many customers are paying very large telecom charges without being aware of the possibility to switch over to voice over IP or switch over to next generation systems. So I really think there's going to be a wave of upgrades that's going to occur over the next couple of years that's going to let customers start seeing those benefits. So oftentimes when Microsoft speaks, we talk about the research and development investment. And one of the statements that was made last month when we announced our earnings was that we basically weren't fundamentally changing our R&D investments as we went into 2009, that we expect to invest almost $7 billion in primary research and development in a wide range of areas where we think software can transform consumer experiences and business experiences. But probably less interesting than total amount of money is where we're going to place that money, and especially as it relates to communications. And communications is one of the top 3 categories of primary research and development efforts we do. It's one of the top 3 areas of financial investment for the company overall. And certainly a lot of that goes into kind of core communication and collaboration. So things that you see coming out in SharePoint and Office Communication Server and some of our MSN Messenger and stuff, we have a large research effort around that. But there's some other areas that you may not be aware of that I think are as significant for us as that, which are investments in things like natural language processing and speech technologies, and change the way people interact with their computer, and allowing that convergence of voice interaction with your computer and really thinking about your computer being an extension of your phone system, or at least connected into your phone system. Really thinking through the mobility scenarios. And I'll show you a video in the minute that gives you an example of how we think through the mobility scenarios and really taking advantage of the power of the cell phone that most of you carry with you today as being a connected part of your infrastructure and the things you can do with it. And also thinking through communication hardware and thinking about what sort of new devices will come out that people want to use to interact with their voice network and interact also with their PCs. So one of our beliefs is that whenever we pursue this type of investment, it won't come out just as a Microsoft product. It will come out as a larger solution. In some cases, hardware solutions delivered through partners, and we have a large number of hardware partnerships. In some cases, applications and solutions built on top of our platforms. In some cases, partners will take our products out through new channels and new markets where we're not selling today. We're doing an interesting experiment right now with Costco.com to sell an IP PBX that you walk into Costco and buy, to learn about that as a channel where we think eventually a lot of small business and consumers will be able to walk in and buy an IP PBX very similar to how they buy a PC today. So we're learning a lot through these partnerships and taking our research out to the market. But probably better than talking about this, I want to show you a little bit about what this looks like. And here's a short video we have that talks about what we think the future of banking may look like based on some of these technologies we're developing. And the comment I'd make is, as you see the technologies in this video, all of this is available today. All of the stuff is running in our labs, in our facilities. It's a question about working with partners to bring those types of solutions to the industry or to the marketplace and really making them integrate seamlessly with the rest of the environment. So given the current state of banking, this may be a little bit of a stretch, but wanted to show you an idea of how we see this technology being applied in the next 3 to 5 years. do you guys think? How would you like to experience banking that way versus the way you experience it today? Would that be pretty compelling? How would you like to be able to refinance a loan by dragging and dropping on a screen, or talk to a loan advisor via video conference to, again, answer your question immediately and be connected to your information in that sense, and have the bank employees be able to serve your needs so quickly without asking you 3 different times your home address and your social security number? So we think there's a lot that goes in there. I won't talk about all the features or stuff that goes in there. Clearly there's a belief that the mobile devices will evolve, and you'll see a wide range of devices from tablet PCs down to cell phones, and a much richer computing experience on that mobile computing device. We also think that you're going to be connected in ways that most people aren't connected today to their information, and that businesses are going to be able to build solutions on that are much more seamless than what they experience today. So we think that's a glimpse of what the future can look like with the technology that's being built today and available today. And a lot of it comes through the ecosystem pulling together. The resellers, the channel partners actually helping go out and build those solutions. So to say we're bullish on the future is a little bit of an understatement. We think that a lot of those types of changes will occur over the next 3 to 5 years, even in the banking industry. But at the same time, we recognize that today's world is not the same, that communications is a challenge. When we spend time with customers, we hear over and over again the challenges that they face today, from communications overload to the complexity of their networks and so on. One of the things that stands out for me on this that I find interesting is I had previously worked on Microsoft Exchange Server. And one of the pieces of feedback we started getting with Microsoft Exchange was email overload. And people started getting to the point, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the audience have this experience, where you get 100 to 200, 300 email messages a day, and it's very difficult to keep up with them, to filter them, and to get through all those communications. And one of the things we were working on is tools to help people filter that mail and basically route that mail and focus on the most important stuff. The thing that really stands out for me over the past 5 years is how much we've gone from email overload to overall communications overload. And whether it's your voicemail now being routed to your email box, the ability to have multiple phone lines and multiple cell phones to have information coming in, the instant messenger type communications that are constantly interrupting you, or as well, the social networks that you're probably dealing with and the Twitter type experience that are constantly interrupting you, communications overload is becoming even more complex. And one of our beliefs is unified communications has to help unite those experiences and allow you to manage those communications. As a user, if you don't have the ability to control those communications, find out the most important ones, filter through them, you'll never get contact at the right time or be as responsive as you should be. Now, being Microsoft, we think a solution to that problem is software. We think that software provides a turning point in producing a software platform that works with a wide range of hardware that our partners can build solutions on top of, and extend and customize for the variety of customers' needs, especially when we talk about small business customers, really creates an ability to solve those problems and come up with solutions similar to what we saw in the financial services video. So we're certainly seeing much of this already today. The choice of hardware. For those of you who've walked the show floor already, it's just amazing the variety of hardware we see, not only in IPPBXs, but also in handsets. And we think we're really seeing just the tip of the iceberg there, and probably 3 to 5 years from now, we couldn't even imagine the type of devices we'll see out there in hardware. The applications that will be built on top of the communications platform, and the ability to integrate those applications with your CRM applications, with your customer databases inside your organization. And then the lower cost that will come by debundling a lot of these vertical solutions into separate parts where people can assemble their own solutions. We think software enables that type of transformation, and what we've seen in the desktop marketplace and the server marketplace, we'll see in the IPPBX marketplace and in the communications marketplace overall. So again, Microsoft's very committed to this investment in communications, committed to developing software products that pursue that innovation, and committed to working with the ecosystem to make that happen. So I want to shift for a second here and talk about why small businesses. And not everyone may be aware of Microsoft's kind of focus over the past couple of years on small businesses. We have a product called Small Business Server, which is the leading server infrastructure product sold to small businesses worldwide. And we just launched a new version of it, as well as Essential Business Server this fall, and this video comes from that. We also have a very large investment in the Dynamics business, pursuing small business customers with CRM-type solutions and ERP-type solutions. And Response Point is targeted squarely at that small business market segment. And we want to give you an idea of the type of benefits that small business customers are getting from Microsoft technology today and how we see Response Point fitting into that. So I have one more video I want to show you, and this may not look like your prototypical small business customers. I'm not sure how many of you do business with a NASCAR racing firm, but as you watch the video, I'd ask you to kind of think about what they're saying about what drives their business needs and how they're using technology and how well it maps to probably the customers you're dealing with today. The themes are very common, and the business is actually very similar to a lot of the other businesses we deal with. So let me give you another idea about how Microsoft software is having an impact on small business customers today.
Drive NASCAR, off-road, Dakar Rally, and we run a racing business. We've done the Indy 500 and then NASCAR, where we run the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 and races like that. I am a kid in a candy store. A young kid that likes cars, dreams of stuff like this. It's obviously a lot of work, but I think the fun pays off.
I do anything that is related to computers, including marketing, media, photos, videos. It's a small company and I wear a few hats.
We're a Microsoft Gold certified partner that provides outsourced technology consulting services for Robbie Gordon Motorsports. Robbie Gordon Motorsports was running a peer-to-peer network where every computer had different applications, different versions of operating systems. Getting them to cooperate, trying to find a way to make the network secure was really a challenge. Robbie's team is a great company, but it's smaller than the teams it competes with and doesn't have the same kinds of resources they have, but at the same time it has the same exact needs. So those businesses may use enterprise technologies, and Small Business Server 2008 allows us to bring exactly that same functionality in a way that's integrated and affordable for Robbie Gordon Motorsports. Installing Small Business Server 2008 on an HP ProLiant server allows us to give some great benefits to Robbie Gordon Motorsports. I think the biggest one is peace of mind. They have confidence that they can come into work every day and that thing's going to work.
Having the server helps our team from top to bottom. Having our notebooks that used to be piles high, that used to have to dig through, now you can go and you do a subject search and boom, it takes you right there and you can come up with the answers a lot faster.
One of our favorite features is the remote access. A lot of times we have people out of town making presentations and we're making last minute changes and they can pull up a PowerPoint on the road.
They had a sponsorship opportunity and they have to act quickly when those opportunities come up. He learned about it on his Windows mobile device via email after hours. He was able to connect in remote web workplace to the office to be able to get the work done that he needed to get to so that he could give them a proposal right away. It makes them competitive. That has the potential to drive revenue here.
We're always rushing around trying to get ready for the next race. Our road engineer forgot to bring some of our data from one of our tests, and when he got to the track he realized that he didn't have that data, so he called me and I immediately was able to upload that information to our SharePoint, which he was able to access, and we were able to make changes to our car to make the race car go faster based on that data. Robbie is a very busy guy. He'll come into the shop requesting information from us engineers. We can go on the HP tablets and we can access that information and give it to him and be confident that it's accurate and that we're giving him the correct, up-to-date information.
We operate in a very competitive world. The integrity of our data needs to be paramount. We all sleep better at night because we are confident in our Small Business Server.
Small Business Server 2008 really is an all-in-one solution built on enterprise technologies for small business. So they get to be more professional, more productive, and more efficient, at the same time buying an affordable product that meets their needs.
The goal of this organization is to grow. We're confident that we've picked the right tools to do it with.
You try to be as efficient as you possibly can, and this is a tool that we're using internally here that's allowing us to save time. And I believe the more time we can save, the more time we can work on other programs to make our team faster and more competitive.
So the thing I love about that video is how well it maps to the product we've been trying to build and our belief in software empowering small businesses, allowing them to act like large businesses. So there's an organization that, again, many of you probably don't think is prototypical, but has to do business with a number of sponsors. They actually sell clothing, have a clothing line, and they have a community out there that sponsors them that does a bunch of stuff. And they plus have to put a very competitive car on the road pretty much every week during the season and work in a collaborative way. So we think they actually represent a lot of what we see in small business customers of having to do a lot with a limited set of resources. Another thing I'd say is they have a great vendor relationship, a reseller relationship that really helps them be successful. And that connection with that reseller we think is important to how customers get value of those complex solutions. So I want to talk about a response point customer in the small business segment that's going through a similar set of challenges and how we're able to meet their needs. And there's a company, Dixie Medical Incorporated, that's based in Tennessee. And they're actually a reseller or distributor of defibrillator systems. And they distribute their products globally. And it's a small organization. It's only about 30 people in 2 offices in Tennessee, but they're growing very quickly. And as part of their growth, they recently moved offices, and it caused them to reevaluate their phone systems. And they ended up purchasing a response point system. And talking to them and learning about what drove their purchase and what they saw about, the 2 things that came out were fundamentally cost was a major driver. And again, in this economy, they were looking to be as effective as possible every dollar they spent. But the second thing was communications was fundamentally core to their business. Their ability not only to communicate across the peers within the office and intercom and page other people within the office when they had a customer on the line and had to get a question answered quickly, but their ability to do business globally with a reliable phone system was critical to how they selected a product. And they've been very excited about ResponsePoint and a great customer for ResponsePoint and a place that we're learning a lot about how to improve our products and how to deliver solutions in the IP-PBX marketplace to a small business customer and really help them solve their problems. So the last thing I want to close on is a little bit about what we've learned being in the small business IP-PBX market for the past year. And there's really 3 key things we've taken away from it since we've launched the product. The first is the need to act fast. So yesterday we announced Service Pack 2 of ResponsePoint, and it's basically the 3rd release in about a 12-month period of the product, driven by customer feedback and reseller feedback, and also driven by the need to support additional hardware partners and service provider partners out there that want to come on board and do business with Microsoft. There are a number of features in the product, and I won't use the time now to talk about them, but I encourage you to take a look at some of the partners on the show floor that are showing Service Pack 2, to take a look at the intercom and the paging features and some of the richer set of service provider interfaces that come across with the product. The second thing is it's referred to as ponder less. One of the things we found in this marketplace is being Microsoft, it's easy when a business opportunity comes our way to spend a lot of time having legal review it, business development review it, and ponder whether we should partner with someone or how we should or do business with them, especially if it doesn't fit into the Microsoft mold. We've certainly discovered in this business that we would lose opportunities way too quickly if we spent too much pondering. So we've done a fair amount of work to be responsive as partners have come on board and asked us to pursue business in new ways. And there's 2 partnerships that we're announcing this week at ITEXPO. One is with TotalTel, which is a Northeast company, and the other is with SMB Phone, which is a Canadian company, which are service providers that will deliver the ResponsePoint service in their market and are going to bring it to market in unique ways. And they've really forced us to rethink about how we partner and how we do business because they brought creative ideas to the table that force us to rethink the way we work. The last thing is learn. Fundamentally, we know that the reseller is the face of Microsoft and the face of ResponsePoint to the customer, but it's also in many cases the face of the customer back to Microsoft. And we have a pretty deep community in terms of resellers that provide us product feedback and business feedback on how we help grow the business and what we do to improve the product. So we're learning every day. And for those of you who are resellers out there, I encourage you to continue giving us feedback and let us know what we can do to earn your business and help your customers be successful. So that's the quick 30-minute walkthrough in terms of Microsoft's commitment to communications, Microsoft's focus on small business customers, and why we're at ITEXPO. There are just a couple things I want to leave you with. The first is really take heart, given the economy, that fundamentally we're in a market space where innovation is taking off like mad, and given the presence of people and businesses in this audience, we know that there'll be fundamental innovation that will continue to move forward in the IT telephony marketplace. The second thing is look to Microsoft as a potential partner for some of the communications technology. We have a large investment there, and we're always looking for partnerships that can bring new solutions to market. The third thing is don't forget the small business customer. Fundamentally, we think that's where some of the biggest opportunity is, both in terms of customers reaping benefits from the technology, but also for us building businesses and growing new markets for the product. The last thing I'll leave you with, and this may be a little bit of a transition over to Digium, is when I was introduced, Rich was talking about we may be opposite ends of the spectrum. In many ways, I actually think Microsoft and Digium are very close together in the belief that fundamentally software has the capability to transform IT telephony when partnered with the right class of hardware out there and delivered in great solutions. So with that said, I'll turn it back over to Rich and let Digium come on up. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.